Everyone, how's it going? I'm Mifrah, and today I wanted to share a video about how sales works in a remote environment. I got this question a lot after I told people I work in technical skill. I got this question a lot after I told people I work in technical sales, and I've been working remotely for the past 4 months, and my internship was also remote. So I wanted to clear this up and sort of share tidbits about how sales works in a remote environment and some of the pros and cons of this space right now and what I'm looking forward to in the future. The number one thing is that it is absolutely possible to have a remote sales job, and it is even more so possible because of the way technology has evolved in the past year and a half. So with that being said, a company like Microsoft, for example, has had incredible growth in the past year, and all the sales, everything that has happened with Microsoft has been online because of COVID. So, in the past year, for example, Microsoft has had a 54% growth in their stock, which is absolutely mind-blowing. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because nothing has stopped because of COVID. Business has continued as usual. In fact, business has gotten better. Technically, so far, combining with my internship as well as my last 4 months in my current role in technical sales, I haven't had any in-person client experience where I had to meet a client on at a restaurant, or meeting a client in the office space, or even meeting my team for a meeting. Everything has been remote, and that's solely been possible because of technology and because of these amazing tools available for us where we can just use our computers at home and have that exact same experience. And there are caveats to that. So for example, although you are able to have these meetings online, as a person who is an extrovert, as a person who gets energy from talking to people in person and having that genuine human connection, it has been difficult to be able to connect with people online because you're only seeing just their, it's very hard to understand people's body language. For example, if you were in a client meeting in person, it would be much easier to understand body language as well as have a genuine human connection. You're having a conversation just by sitting in front of each other, you have their direct attention. So that brings me to the second point, which is keeping someone's attention. In a remote space, when you're having these calls, it is very hard. As controversial as that sounds, it's hard to keep your attention when you are only talking on video, because you have many people right now, most people have two screens, they have various tabs open. So when someone's talking, for example, it is very easy to get distracted from that conversation and move your attention to, say, a tab that's open where it requires someone sending you an email, or the chat's opening up in Teams and someone's talking to you and asking for something. Despite you having a client call right now, it's very easy to get distracted. Whereas if you were in person, if you were sitting in front of a client, there would be no scenario in which you would be taking out your phone, scrolling through your chats on Teams when someone's sitting right in front of you. One of the most important things about a sales role is active listening. 80% of the time you should be listening to a client, and 20% of the time is when you should be talking, asking questions, and trying to add value. And that is sort of the ratio every sales team tries to promote and tries to encourage. You should not be the one talking majority of the time. You should be letting the client talk majority of the time. With that being said, when you are in a work from home setting where you are on a tool like Teams, again, active listening can be more difficult because, again, as I mentioned, distractions. So you might be distracted by, again, emails coming in, Teams chat. So those two things are difficult when you are in a work from home setting. One of the biggest perks, though, of having a work from home sales job is that you get to be so productive. And let me explain how. If you were to have a in-person sales job, you'd probably be meeting clients, a set amount of clients per day, and that would include the commuting time to the office or commuting time to the client's office or a separate location like a restaurant or a coffee shop, whatever it might be. You have to include in the commuting time there, back, and also the time you'd be spending at that location for that particular meeting. It could run from half an hour to 1 hour to an hour and a half, and it depends on the organic conversations that go on during that meeting, and there is no hard stop. So you have to account for all these things. All of this takes a lot of time away from other client calls you could be potentially taking. In a work from home space, for example, you could have essentially back-to-back meetings all day. you could be taking about 8 client calls per day, 9 client calls per day, back to back, half an hour each, and you have a hard stop. And that is very, very possible. And it's very common right now in the work from home culture, where you just tell a client that, hey, I have to drop off, or they tell you that they are busy and they have to go. So you have an allotted time for that person. And that way you can have multiple calls, multiple chunks of time throughout the day, 8, 9, 10 calls, however it might be. And you get to be more productive that way because you're talking to so many different businesses. Whereas that would be probably in half or a third if you were in a in-person office environment having those. So I would say those are the major differences of, I guess, work from home sales roles versus in-person sales roles. But you have to understand that the only reason why everything went work from home and everything went into that remote space was because of COVID-19, and because of the fact that it was not physically possible to meet clients in person and it was not safe. So when things do start opening up, tech companies right now will most likely have a hybrid structure or an optional structure where you could go into the office if you want, but you could be work from home for life if you want, because of the level of productivity that has skyrocketed in this time. I'm personally looking forward to the office opening because I have never it's so sad to say this, but I've never even had the opportunity to even decide what I like, either work from home or in person, because I never even had the in-person experience. So I'm genuinely excited to go to the office and test it out, test that experience out, and see what works for me better and where I see better results for myself. Obviously, I'm not saying I'll be going to the office every single day and having that exact same, transitioning back completely to in-person, but I want to figure out that good balance for myself, like maybe 2 days in office or 3 days in office, the rest of it at home, so I have best of both worlds. So right now, here's what I understand by talking to people in the office who have had both these experiences. So I'll make my own decision hopefully next year. I'm super excited about that. So if you are interested to learn about that, then please subscribe, like this video, comment down below if you have any questions or comments. I'll see you guys next week again for my next video. So talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.